ظل العمر في سهو وفي لهو وفي خسر.
Next time I'll come late. We start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Amma ba'd. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and passing salutation upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I would like just to first of all give the plan of what we're going to be talking, because we have basically congested lots of material in a very short time. We've been asked to do the tahara all the way to the prayer in 2 sessions. That means this session, which is consisted of 2, and then another one which is at the end of the month, bi'idhnillah, to have the second one to finish the tahara. And the tahara consists of a lot of subtitles. For you to dig deeper into the subject, I'm referring to Kitab al-Wajiz. Al-Wajiz, there is concise, and you could download it. So if a brother just can have it and pass it through them, they will know. That they will go in detail, because I'm here, I'm going to be reciting what I'm going to be explaining, but I'm not going to be going through the proofs. Otherwise, it's going to be a big session. So without any further delay, it's going to be, as I said, congested, so you have to be fully focused. Bismillah. We start with tahara, purity. And it's very important to understand that we need to know the tahara, because how to purify ourselves and what are the things which is called impure. So the tahara that we're going to be talking about is that when we talk about tahara, always we start with water. The water, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. You find it in the wells, you find it in the rain, you'll find it in your taps. This tahara, it has to have the water. This water has 2 elements. Element number 1, pure in itself. Element number 2, has the ability to purify. You have to understand these 2. Because if I said to you olive oil, it's pure, but hasn't got the ability to purify. If I said to you rose water, it's pure, but hasn't got the element of purification. You cannot, for example, make wudu with rose water, or olive oil, or vegetable oil, okay, or vinegar. Okay, all of that is pure. So the water has 2 elements, remember? That is pure in itself and has the ability to purify. Fine. Now we come into the impurities. Impurities are defined in the way that it is that the thing that the people feel disgusted, and straight away when they have it, they have to wash themselves from it straight away. That's called the impurity. So if your nature is not polluted. As soon as you find something which is filth, impure, you want to get rid of it. And the proofs for those impurities are in the book and in the Sunnah. So we'll start with the urine of the person, and this urine, and also the feces. So both are to be impure. Now, as for the feces, it is in general impure, regardless which person we're talking about, adult or young. When we talk about the urine, then the urine of the male who is unweaned, the one who is dependent upon breastfeeding, hasn't got the food. Okay, so the unweaned male baby is still impure, but its impurity has been given less in terms of purification. So we don't need to wash, we can just sprinkle water. The reason behind this is a number of reasons, but because the male is always being carried, Sharia wants to make it easy. So the male, unweaned male baby, okay, his urine is still impure, but it's been pardoned slightly. As for the females, whether it's adult or young, baby or not baby, they are impure. Then we find the madi and the wadi. Madi and the wadi are the secretions that take place from the private part. So the madi and wadi, not many. The madi and the wadi, both are secretions. Now, to differentiate between the two, one of them says thick and one of them says thin. The thick one, which is the wadi, but actually the very big distinguishing factor between the two is that the wadi, basically it comes after urination, whereas the madi comes when you think of foreplay, okay, something like this. So it comes with, so you think about the foreplay when you cuddle your wife. This is called madi, okay. That's why Ali ibn Abi Talib used to be madha, and used to be shy to ask the Prophet of Allah because he's married to his daughter Fatima. So he asked the Prophet of Allah, so he said, "Ighsil madhakirak." So it is impure, you have to wash your private part, whether it is male or female. Wash the private part. So it invalidates your wudu, but it itself, you have to wash it. As for it touching the clothes, we're going to come to it, inshallah. What do you do? Also, from the impurity is the animal stool. Animal stool, and that is the excrement of the animals, and that is as well to be impure. Like, for example, the poo of the cat, the poo of the lions, and all these impermissible to eat is impure. As for the urine, we say it is impure, but there is a difference among the scholars. Because of Imam al-Bukhari says it's pure, rahimahullah, but the correct opinion it's impure. So anything which is not to be, it's not impermissible to eat, the poo and the urine, we find it is to be impure. And by the way, in the book of yours, it mentions only the stool, does not mention the urine. So we're adding the urine. Also the dam al-hayd, the menses blood. All other types of blood is to be pure. Whether it's blood of a human being, normal blood bleeding, or whether it's the blood of animals which are permissible to eat, or blood of animals which are impermissible to eat, doesn't matter. The blood is to be pure except for one type, and that is the one that comes from the vagina of the woman during her menses or postnatal, postpartum, post-childbirth bleeding. All of that same word. So all of that blood is to be impure, and we have consensus about that this is the impurity of this, but we do have difference among the scholars regarding the blood of a human being, but the correct opinion, it is to be pure. Remember, we cannot say anything to be impure except with a proof. So always the origin or the default is to be pure unless proved otherwise. So it's innocent until proved what? Guilty. Okay? So innocent is what? Pure. Guilty is what? Impure. Also from the dog saliva. So that means the dog fur, the dog ears, the dog legs, the dog foot, all of it is to be pure, except for this saliva. So if it touches your pot, wash it 7 times. First one with dirt, with sand or with a soil, whatever you want to call it. America, they call it dirt, the sand. Now, if the dog licked your clothes, Well, it's a weak opinion to say wash it 7 times because it doesn't say that. Okay, the correct opinion is if it just licks your clothes, you just wash it. And I don't think you're going to be doing well to your clothes if you're going to put it with sand and, don't put sand in your washing machine, by the way. Right. Also what is considered to be impure is the dead animal. Dead animal means any animal which are impermissible to eat which died, or permissible to eat but not slaughtered according to the Sharia. So it's permissible to eat like for example the cattles, okay? But if they are not to be slaughtered, they're called dead, and they are not just haram to eat, but they are impure. Remember this principle: everything which is impure is to be impermissible to eat or drink, but not everything which is haram is necessary to be what? Impure. Give you an example. Blood of the animal, it is pure. We said its urine is pure, the animal which is permissible to eat. The Prophet of Allah, he had commanded those people who had some wrong with his stomach, al-uraniyin, to go and take from the camel urine mixed with the milk. It's good for the stomach. So to drink it, that means what? It's pure. But the blood, even if it touches your hand, it's pure, but you can't what? Drink it. Because حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ وَالدَّمُ. Dam is haram, but it's not impure. So everything is impure, is haram to eat, but not vice versa. Not necessarily vice versa. Also, what is being cut from the animal while it's alive is to be dead. So let's say if you cut the leg or the hand while for example, the sheep is alive, that leg or that limb that you cut or the ear is to be impure. It becomes maita. Because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And that thing is not in the book, by the way, I'm adding. The exception from the dead animals is in the hadith of the Prophet, the fish, and also the locust. So the locust, there's not the locust, an insect. Okay, if it's found to be dead, okay, it is, as long as it's not rotten, it's halal to eat. The fish, as long as it's dead and it's not rotten, because rotten fish is not haram. Because you find, for example, fish floating on the sea, and dead, they can't eat them, rotten. To be like fresh. They came out of the sea, and they die, and then you eat them. You don't slaughter them in the name of Allah, slaughter the fish, do you? I don't think so. طيب. And also, the thing which is exemption from this is the animal which has got no blood, running blood in it. Those animals, they are as well pure. When I'm saying animal pure, it doesn't mean you eat them. So for example, the fly, I don't think you're going to eat fly, are you? But that's very good, because you might sometimes see a fly annoying you, you smack it in your face while you're praying. Don't worry, it's pure. It's not impure. You smack it on you kill it on your clothes, no problem, it's pure. And also the ants, and for example, the bee, and we call it wasps. The wasps, a lot of wasps here. The hornets as well. All of those are to be pure, but don't eat them. Okay. The third, which is exempted from the dead animals, is the bones and the nails and the fur, not the skin, the fur, the feather of any animal, whether it's permissible or impermissible. If it's a dead animal, you took, for example, the feather of a dead falcon. Okay, that feather is okay, no problem. Remember, the blood is not impure. So the feather, the horns, the horns of the animal which is dead, the tusk of the elephant if it's dead, no problem. طيب. We add as well to what is impermissible here is al-jallala. Al-jallala is also impure. Jallala, what is al-jallala? Jallala is that an animal which is like a camel, like a cow, save the chicken. The chicken has been exempted. That if this camel or they start eating impurity for certain days, then you're not allowed to eat them. It becomes as well impure, najis. And how do you make it halal? You lock it for 3 days on good food. So you bring a good fodder for that animal for 3 days, and then after that it will be okay. Otherwise, you're not allowed to eat the jallala. As for the chicken, alhamdulillah, you don't have to worry what type of food the chicken take. And that is a lot of concession here. because the chicken, if you put them caged hens, they could eat the poo of each other. So you don't have to worry what type of food they eat. Alhamdulillah. طيب, how do you purify the impurities? Learn the following principle. Principle 1, if there is no text to say to us which substance would purify a certain impurity, then water has to be used. Water has to be used. Second principle, if a certain impurity referred into the text to be purified in a certain way other than the water, then you use that certain way and the water can be used. So always water can be used. So first one, that if there is no element referred to purify a certain impurity, only water can be used. And if there is an element which is impure that you want to purify it, and it's the text says you have to purify it this way, sprinkling, for example, rubbing or something like this, then you use that method and use that substance which is used in the hadith, but still water can be used because the water is always a default. Give you an example. Prophet ﷺ, he said, if you want to purify your shoe which has got the poo in it, you rub it in the what? In the ground. You rub it in the what? In the ground. That, by the way, in itself, it doesn't mean that the only way of doing it is you could take it in the sink. Mind you, your wife is going to kill you for that, but you could take it to the sink and wash it, no problem. But rubbing in the ground is enough. But if you want to take it to the sink and wash it with the water, then be my guest, no problem, inshallah. طيب, now we're coming to how to purify the skin of an animal. Remember, the animals which are permissible to eat and you slaughtered them halal way, permissible to eat, the skin of theirs is to be halal as well, pure. Do you understand that? It is pure, the skin is pure, halal to touch and everything. But we tan it for the sake of the smell. As for the animals which are dead, whether they are permissible to eat or impermissible to eat, as long as not being slaughtered, or it's one of these animals which are like the beast, okay? So they are called dead animals. So they die, you have to tan the skin. Tanning the skin, that means you salt it and they treat it and they put it in the sun. For, these people who are tanners, they know what I'm talking about. Tanning the skin can work as well for any type of animal. And I'm saying these animals because we have a difference among the scholars regarding the Hanafi madhab. The animal which is like the pig, like the dog. These two which are the extreme impurity. The skin, if it's been tanned, it will be what? Pure. Prophet said, أيما إهاب دبغ فقد طهر. Khalas, end of story. Any type of skin is being tanned is to be pure. To purify as I said, the pot where the dog has licked into it 7 times, one of them is with the sand. And to purify the garment which has got menses blood, then you have to use the following. You have to use water plus a detergent. At the time of the Prophet of Allah, it was lote tree, the lote leaves, like soap. So you have to use water plus a detergent, whatever it is. And you have to scrub. Okay, you have to rub to scrub. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing, that is, you have to sprinkle. So you clean the area where it is a spot. Unless you put it in the hole in the washing machine, there's no problem. The washing machine will do everything. All of this what I'm just saying. So, and then you sprinkle in the rest of the garment or the pants. And you don't have to worry if a trace has been left. After this, you've done your best, so you don't have to worry if there was a trace. Sometimes the trace of color, faded blood color, no problem about it, because you've done your best to take it out. As for purifying the garment of a woman whom she's, her dress supposed to be covering herself. So basically, Allah made the concession here is that whatever comes after it, it will purify it. So if she passes upon impurity like poo or urine, don't worry, she doesn't have to wash it. Whatever comes after it, because it drags, while it's dragging, it's purifying itself. Now, as for the urine of a male baby who is unweaned. Unweaned, that means most of his food is from the breastfeeding. But if it's normal food more, then it becomes different. Becomes a normal urine. So this one we said, the impurity will be less. It will be less. There's a concession regarding the impurity. It's impure, but we don't have to wash like the normal urine. We could just sprinkle water. So he had urinated in, for example, on a carpet like this, we just sprinkle water. We don't have to wash the carpet. We don't have to wash the garment. And that's the concession gave it the Sharia, because usually the fathers, they take the male with them to the masjid. That's why. So that's, and also that's as well lots of why the female is female, because not being carried, and also the female is easy to wash because when she urinates in one spot, whereas the mechanism of the male is all over the place. You understand me? It goes all over, and that's why it's going to be very hard to trace where the impurities. To clean the thawb, the garment, your pants, which are been having madi or wadi. Remember the wadi and the madi? Both of them, they come. Well, the wadi, you don't feel it. The madi, sometimes you feel it coming up, because I said it comes when if you think about the wife or foreplay. That's what it is, and it comes. Both of them are white secretion. One of them is to be thick, which is the wadi. Now, if that touches your garment, we said if it touches your private part, you have to wash it, and you make wudu. But if it touches your garment, you sprinkle water. You don't have to wash your pants. That's a concession. That's a concession. I'm sure that some of you have seen that's why something came white after the urination. It's called wadi. Now, the shoes of yours, if it's got poo or any type of impurity, you just rub it against the ground. As for the land, if you left it to dry, if it's not a poo, if it's a poo, you have to remove it. But if it's urine, if it's being left to dry, then it will become pure by itself. But if you want to hasten the process of purity, by what? Just take the sand and throw it somewhere else, and that's it. That's how you do it. Now we're coming to, this is what by the way, we talked about, and then we don't have to add anything, alhamdulillah. As well, the leftovers from the animals, which are impermissible to eat, is not to be drank. It is impure. So this is another impurity. We're going to add it to this. Let's say, for example, a dog, or a pig, or a beast, or a lion drank from the water of a pot and left what is remaining there, the leftovers, is to be impure. You can't drink that water because it's impure. The exception is for the cat. Cat is made to be because it mixes with us, mingles with the family. Because of that, Allah gave us a concession. Okay? But the urine and the excrement, the poo of the animal, of the cat, is to be what? Impure. Even actually the urine of the cat is really a horrible smell. But do you know what? Some of the scholars, they said, like for example, Imam al-Bukhari said it's not impure, the urine, not the poo. The poo is impure. But we say, the correct opinion, it is still impure. Right. Because the cat, by the way, they don't urinate in the house no more. They urinate outside, subhanAllah. They don't like to urinate inside the house. Allah made them like this. Now we come to the thing that, the acts that corresponds to the nature of mankind. Acts which are known by the prophets, they correspond to your nature of mankind. We're going to talk about them. They are mentioned in the hadith, are to be 5. One of them mentions 10. And if you add them together, it could be 11, but there are 10 if you make 2 in 1. Let's just see, inshallah. The one which are the following, I'm going to mention them together, but because they are timed. And that is clipping the mustache. Okay, clipping the mustache. We call trimming the mustache. Trimming the mustache better. Trimming the mustache. Clipping the nails. It's better, yeah. And shaving both the pubic hair and plucking the underarm. Okay, those 4 are timed 40 days. They're timed. You can't, extend that period. So they're timed. So again, the what? The trimming of the mustache, clipping of the nails, and shaving the pubic and plucking the underarm. You could shave the underarm, no problem. but don't pluck the pubic. It's no good for the skin. But as for the underarm, it's up to you. You could use as well the creams, that they stay the hair, no problem. Okay, these are being timed 40 days. Of course, the woman hasn't got a mustache, but I'm just saying. But the woman, she's got the underarm, the pubic, and also the nails. Then we add to this, for the man, the lihya, that is to let go of the beard, and it's up to the handful, below your chin, below here, the area of this one, the chin. And also the siwak, so we mentioned now 6, and also making or putting water to the nostrils, the 7, and also washing the knuckles, this makes it 8, and istinja, washing the private parts, that's 9, and the 10 is putting water into your mouth, which is called gargling. Now the 11th is al-khitan, which is circumcision. Khitan, circumcision, is compulsory on the male, and it is not compulsory on the female. Compulsory, because the scholars are different about this issue, but the correct opinion is not compulsory on the female. Unless she lives in a different country and it's hot, where the clitoris will need to be cut. But normally it is the case that is not necessary. But as I said, if it's normal, like African countries, they do the circumcision there for the women. It depends upon the land they live. So anyway, so I mentioned 11, but you could make them 10 by making the trimming of the mustache and letting go of the beard to be 1. As some of the scholars said, they are 10 because trimming the mustache and letting go of the beard is to be 1. Fine. As for the circumcision, the best time for it, by the way, it's not in the book, this one, circumcision is to be when, but the circumcision is to be compulsory for the father and the parents to make it for the child. The best time is when he is not feeling the pain. From the first day, second day, third day. But as the hadith say, from the 7th day, the hadith is not authentic. But here he's mentioning the hadith, but the hadith is not authentic. As when is the last days for the maximum age that you could leave the child without circumcision, is his puberty. But believe me, if you leave him until that age, it's going to be very painful. طيب. Siwak, we said, is one of the acts that correspond to the nature of mankind. Siwak, you could do it at any time, but there are recommended time. Wudu, salah, recitation of the Quran, entering the house, when you do the Qiyam al-Layl. All of that siwak is recommended. Are you okay? Yeah. So, siwak is recommended when the person wants to make munajah. That is to make dua or something. It's always, siwak is good. So when you come to the prayer, and also when you leave from the prayer, as another hadith, and also whenever the mouth smell changes, or whenever you have a gathering of like this, sitting with the people of knowledge, or in a circle of knowledge, also it is recommended on the day of Jumu'ah. Now, how to hold the siwak, it's up to you. It's up to you. Right, left, both hands. Okay, get somebody to help, do it for you. No problem, inshallah. There's no such thing. It is. As for the grey hair, it is disliked to pluck it. The grey hair, disliked to pluck it. But it is recommended to dye it. Now, the dye could be henna, it could be any dye, as long as the dye is halal. So it hasn't got things which are haram, like alcohol or something like this. Dye is halal. So the dye, you could use henna or any other, as long as the male and female, but the color has to be within the range of the color of the hair, except for the black is not allowed. So you could say brown, and brown comes now in shades like medium brown, light brown, burgundy brown, burgundy. Oh, got lots of color. Dark brown, inshallah. Okay, but you can't, for example, dye it blue, green, purple, pink. What's this? That's not color of the hair. And that's imitation of the non-believers. Now we come into the etiquettes of going to the khala, to relieve yourself. It is recommended for the person when you come to the khala to say Bismillah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith. In the name of Allah, O Lord, I seek refuge in you from the male and female shaitan. And when you say Bismillah, straight away there will be a barrier between you and the jinn not to see your awra. The jinn looks at your awra. As soon as you say Bismillah, there will be a curtain between you and the jinn. When you come out, you say Ghufranak. When you come in with your left, you come out with your right. Now, is there any proof for that? No, there's no proof. It's only deduced from the following, that Anas radiallahu anhu, he said, it is from the sunnah to enter the masjid with your right, to come out from the masjid with your left. Because the toilet is the opposite of the masjid, it's the house of shaitan, not the house of Allah. That's why we say you go in the left and you come out with the right. But there is no proof to say that the Prophet Allah said so. And if you are making your defecation or relieving yourself that the one which makes a smell, it's better to go away from where the people can hear you, smell you, and all of that. And also, it is recommended not to lift up your clothes until you are close to the ground. That is, if you are in the open space. But of course, if you're on the toilet, locking the door, that doesn't apply. But if you are in the open, you don't know. Somebody can watch you. So you don't really lift up your clothes until you are really close to the ground. You're not allowed to face or to turn your back to the Qibla. So this Qibla, for example, let's say facing me now, I can't face this way or face that way. 180 degrees for it. I could tilt away just a bit, khalas. But you can't face the Qibla. Whether you are inside the toilet or outside the toilet. And the one who says inside the toilet is absolutely not correct. So he said if it's outside, it's only not allowed outside. Inside the toilet is no problem. The proof is very weak. And if you want to discuss it, we'll put it in the question. And I remember that I'm congesting lots of things in this time. What time is it now? Is it 40 minutes yet? You timing for me, guys? Still 7 minutes. Yes? Yeah, 8 minutes. Also, it is not allowed, haram, to defecate and to relieve yourself in the areas where the people use is public usage. Like, for example, the shade of a tree. Like, for example, the water springs, the water people watch water. Okay? Prophet said, avoid the 3 places that would incur curse. Here it says 2 in this hadith, but I'm adding one third one. He says that is the path of the people and the shade where the tree is, and also the third one, the springs of water. It is disliked for the person to urinate in the place where he bathed himself. That is at the time when the tub didn't have a drainage. Now these days it doesn't matter, even if you urinate in that, because the drainage is taking everything, the water and the no problem. It is haram also to urinate in the still water. That means like a swimming pool. You're not allowed to urinate in that. It's haram. But don't think that if you urinate in the swimming pool, you're going to make the swimming pool all of it is impure. Because the swimming pool is lots. And we're going to talk about it. It's lots of water. Your impurity is not going to be that. It's not going to affect the whole swimming pool. It is permissible to urinate standing up with no dislike. It's allowed, standing up, as long as you are safe from the bouncing of the urine. So if you're in an area where the urine is going to bounce, like there is a wind or whatever urinating on is something solid, it might bounce back. Okay, but the urinals, if you know the urinals in the toilets, they are perfect for urination standing up, very perfect, because they don't bounce back. But the only thing about them is awra exposure, because lots of people next to each other is not allowed. But the urinals is no problem. So as long as you are making sure that your awra is not going to be exposed, number 2, that the urine will not bounce back, is no problem. طيب. Also, from the etiquettes is that you must clean yourself after the urination. It's not enough just to, just urine and then put it inside. okay, you have to make sure that you clean it. So you have to make stinza. So make sure that you don't really make it to touch your clothes and all of this, but don't have waswas at the same time. So once you finish, you don't have to jump up and down to make sure this really okay. You don't have to hurt yourself by banging here and there. It's not correct. But put water in it, because the private part of the male is like, it's like, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, like the woman breast. The more you squeeze in it, the more milk comes out of it. But if you let it go, the milk will stop. Same thing with the subhanallah. If you let it go, it will stop. But if you keep pressing, you will never finish. So the best thing for the person who got waswasa is to, once he cleans himself, to sprinkle his pants with water. So if anything comes, he's not going to distinguish between water and what urine. Sprinkle it with water. That will kill the waswasa. You're not allowed to hold your private part, male or female, to touch it with your right. And the istinja, the best thing is, of course, with water. No doubt about that. But you could use male or female for the front or for the back. For the urination or defecation, you could use 3 stones, and 3 stones has to be a minimum. Has to be a minimum. So you have to use the stone 3 times. 3 stones. So even if you think that I've been clean from the first stone, no, you have to use 3. But if you did not get clean from 3, you need to eat another one until you get clean. And don't you ever think there is more reward if you clean with both stones and water? No. One of the 2 will be enough. And it's allowed, listen to me please, sisters, as well. It's allowed as well to use tissues. No problem. For the urination and for the defecation. Maybe you never heard this before. Because people think that the tissues are for the Westerns, for the West people. No. Tissues, you're allowed to use it. But the best one is what? Water. So you could use tissues, inshallah. And the tissues, it doesn't have to be 3 tissues. It's only the stones, 3 stones. It is not allowed to use bones or dung. Whether the dung of an animal which can be eaten, like the dung or the stool of for example, the sheep, or like a donkey which is not allowed to eat. The donkey is not allowed to eat, so you can't use both. The reason behind this, as for the stool of the animals which is impermissible to eat, is impure. As for the stool of the animals which is permissible to eat and the bones, they are the food of our brothers from the jinn. They are the food of our brothers from the jinn. They eat from it. The bones is for the jinn, and the fodder, or the stool, is food for the jinn animals. They've got their own animals as well. Dawab. Coming now to the aniya. Aniya means the pot. He put this pot here in this chapter to show us which pot we can be used or can't be used. The pot is not allowed to use at all. The pot which is made of pure gold or pure silver. If it's plated, no problem. But if it's pure gold, pure silver, whether it's 18, 12 carats, 24 carats, you're not allowed to use, whether to eat in them, to drink in them, or even to use them for purification. Now we're coming to making tahara lis-salah, making tahara, purification for salah. طيب. You know, we said that the importance of the tahara is that it is condition for the validation of the prayer. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He had praised those people who make tahara. And a tahara is of 2 types. The actual one and they could call it the virtual one. The actual one, which is that you make tahara from the impurity, whether it's in the body or the place or the clothes. Whereas the one which is, we call it, it takes the rule of tahara, but it's not the actual. It's not actual. It's like tahara from, for example, passing wind, tahara from eating the camel meat for wudu. So we make tahara even though we don't have impurities on top of us, but we make tahara. And this is of three types: major, which is for ghusl, and minor, which is wudu, and the alternative, which is when there is no way of using the water, then we use tayammum. These are the three types of the non-actual tahara. I should call it hukmiyya. طيب. Just before I go to the tahara of wudu, I want to make sure that you understand the following. If the water mixes with impurity, the impurity, the water has three characteristics: smell, taste, and color. Okay? If any impurity, like urine, like poo, okay, like the menstrual blood, mixed with the water and altered one of these three characteristics, that water becomes impure. Okay? I'll repeat it again. The water's got three characteristics: smell, and which is the smell of the water is no smell. Smell and taste. We call the water, the taste of the water is no taste. It's not sweet, it's not sour, it's not. The third one, color. The color of the water, no color. So if any of these three are altered when an impurity mixes, that is to be impure water. The way to make this water clean, there's one which we call it bil mukathara. So if I add more water to alter or to return back, to revert the original color of the water, original taste of the water, the original, for example, smell of the water, then the water becomes clean. So let's just give you an example. This water is, for example, half a liter, 500 ml. Somebody urinated next to it, one drop went into the side. One drop. Okay, one drop. Do you think the water is going to be impure? No, still pure. 2 drops, still pure. 3 drops, still pure. But we start becoming 50 grams, for example, or something like this. We start seeing the color changes. We see maybe the smell changes. We see as well maybe the taste changes. I don't know how to taste it, but I'm just saying. So something will change here. Now, how can I clean it? Either they can throw the water, or the water is precious for me. I don't want to throw it. I'll bring another bottle of 2 liters and add it to it, and then I will revert. Okay? I'll bring back the original color of the water, the smell of the color, and as well the taste. Okay? And you could use it for wudu. Maybe you don't want to use it for drinking because you're disgusted with it, but you could use it for what? Purification. It's called al-mukathara. As for the water mixing up with pure element, it will still, the water still carries. Please do not go, because it's very important what I'm saying. If you don't really get it, you're not going to get it later on. If the pure water mixes with a pure element, then this water still has the 2 elements or the 2 characteristics, which is number 1, pure in itself, 100%, and has the ability to purify as long as the 3 characteristics has changed in such a way that you don't call the water water. This is very important with the people taking bath. And they put this bath bubbles. Do you understand that? Bath bubbles. So if the bath bubbles became not water, became bubbles, it's clean and pure in itself, but hasn't got the ability to purify. You understand that? So you have to have a normal water to clean yourself with wudu, or shower yourself with the normal water. You could soak yourself as much as you want all night, you can't get pure. Because the water had lost the name water. It became water bubble. But if it is just a few, still the water there, I could see, even the characteristics has changed, the 3 of them. The taste and the smell and the color. But still I could call it what? Still water. no problem, has the power of purification. See how important this is for your daily life.
تولى العمر في سهو